Welcome back. Before we jump into hard versus soft light, make sure you grab Monday's visual cheat sheet on @PictureEyeCandy on Facebook so you can follow along. All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to definitively break down what is honestly one of the most misunderstood concepts in all of visual storytelling. I'm talking about shadow edge transfer. If you've ever looked at a photo and wondered, man, why does this feel so gritty and dramatic? Or maybe, why is this one so gentle and inviting? Well, the secret almost always lies right here in how the light transitions into shadow. Master this one single element, and you literally unlock total control over your image's mood. So right out of the gate, we've got to debunk a massive myth. When people hear the phrase light quality, they almost instinctively assume we're talking about brightness, right? They think a hard light is just a really bright one, and a soft light is a dim one. But actually, that's completely false. As you can see with the transition zone highlighted here, light quality is strictly about the edge where light meets dark. It is entirely about the softness and contrast of that specific edge. It has absolutely nothing to do with how many watts your light is pumping out.
Let's actually put our two main contenders head to head so you can really see this. Take a look at the example on the left. With hard light, that line between light and darkness is literally razor sharp. I mean, the light just snaps from a bright highlight straight into a deep dark shadow. But now check out soft light on the right. Notice how instead of a sharp line, you get this beautiful, smooth gradient? It just gently rolls from highlight into shadow over a nice wide transition zone. That fundamental difference in the edge is exactly the thing we are trying to manipulate here.
Now, because of that razor-sharp transition zone, hard light creates inherently high contrast. You're going to get prominent highlights and intensely crisp shadows. But here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. Hard light attacks and emphasizes texture. Every single pore, every muscle, every little architectural detail is going to pop. You'll see this all the time with the unclouded midday sun, or if you're in the studio using a bare flash, grid spots, or snoots. Because it pulls out so much texture, it is totally your go-to for high drama, gritty noir aesthetics, or really edgy athletic portraits. It's bold and honestly, it's unapologetic. Now, in stark contrast, having a wide, gradual shadow edge changes the entire visual game. Soft light inherently gives you low contrast, so instead of attacking texture, it actually minimizes it. It gracefully wraps right around the contours of your subject. And because it smooths everything out, it is incredibly flattering on human skin. Just step outside under a totally overcast sky and boom, you're standing in nature's ultimate soft light. Indoors, we replicate that vibe using large softboxes or bounced light. It's the absolute gold standard for beauty portraits, corporate headshots, and establishing those really romantic moods.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how do we actually control this? Well, this brings us to the golden rule. Light quality is strictly governed by one single thing, and that is the apparent size of the light source relative to your subject. And I really want you to zero in on that word apparent. We're not just talking about the physical dimensions of your softbox measured out with a tape measure. No, it's about how big that light source appears from the exact perspective of your subject. This apparent size? It's the master lever for absolutely all of your shadow edges. So let's break that golden rule down into a super simple direct correlation. Basically, a larger apparent light source equals softer light. Think about it. The bigger the light source appears to the subject, the more angles the light rays are traveling from. Those rays literally wrap around the subject, filling in their own shadows and creating that gentle, feathered, wide transition edge we talked about. Conversely, a smaller apparent light source equals harder light. If the light looks like a tiny pinpoint from the subject's point of view, well, all those light rays are traveling in practically the exact same direction. They strike the subject uniformly, creating a sharp, crisp, distinct shadow edge. It's pretty simple. Big means soft, small means hard. Now, where the magic really happens in the studio is something called the distance factor. Say you place a 36-inch softbox just 3 feet away from your subject. At that distance, it takes up a massive portion of their field of view. It's relatively huge, which gives you beautiful soft light. But if you take that exact same modifier and simply move it 20 feet down the room, from the subject's perspective, it suddenly looks really, really small. Without even changing your equipment, just by increasing that distance, you've drastically decreased the apparent size and completely hardened the light. It's a real game changer.
To put that into perspective, this totally illustrates the concept on a cosmic scale. 93 million miles. That is exactly how far away the Sun is from Earth. Physically speaking, the Sun is an absolute monster. I mean, it's 865,000 miles wide. Going by sheer physical dimensions alone, it's the largest light source we know of. But because it sits 93 million miles away, its apparent size in our sky is tiny. It just looks like a small glowing coin up there, right? Because its apparent size is so incredibly small relative to us, direct sunlight actually acts as a very hard light source. It is literally the ultimate proof of the distance factor in action.
All right, let's make this highly actionable. Say you're on a shoot, the shadows are way too crisp, and you need to soften a hard light on the fly. You've basically got 3 direct solutions. First up, add diffusion. Put something like a large scrim between the light and the subject. That scrim catches the hard light and suddenly becomes a brand new, much larger light source. Second, leverage that distance rule we just talked about and simply move the light closer to instantly increase its apparent size. Or third, just bounce the light off a broad white wall. Boom. That entire wall just became your new, massive apparent light source.
On the flip side, what if your shot is looking a little bit too flat and you really need to dial up the drama? Well, here is how you harden soft light. Step 1, strip it down. Rip off those diffusers and expose the bare bulb. Step 2, leverage that distance again, but this time, move the light farther back to rapidly decrease its apparent size. And step 3, if you need even more focused control, attach a grid or a snoot. This is going to narrow the beam, ensuring the light hits from a concentrated, exceptionally small point, which instantly snaps those shadow edges right back to crisp, high-contrast lines. So, we've covered the mechanics, the physics, and the practical studio applications. And honestly, the whole shebang just boils down to mastering the apparent size of your light source. Whether you're chasing the high drama of a bold athletic portrait, or you want the gentle, flattering wrap of a corporate headshot, you now hold the keys to controlling that transition zone. Remember, everything is in the shadow edge transfer. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this. How will you intentionally manipulate shadow edges to shape the mood of your very next project? Think about the story, adjust your distances, swap out those modifiers, and really take absolute creative control. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.
Every Monday, look for a new photography cheat sheet on Facebook. On Wednesdays, we'll have a short covering part of that sheet, and on Friday, a full video lesson, so there's something for everyone.